All effective communication starts from within our abilities to be open, listen, respect, ask questions, seek out, and always learn. Perception can either shut us off to communication or expand our communication, and I think we're all guilty of this. The idea of us perceiving others while we worry or not about how they perceive us. Or maybe that's a perception in and of itself. A perception is sort of an impression, our product of guided thought in our own heads. Our internal dialogue is what allows us the opportunity to have a perception. Intrapersonal communication is influenced by the knowledge of what we already know and molded and morphed by this ongoing conversation in our heads. Always clarifying and aligning your perception is a great way to build schemas in communication. Being very malleable and self-aware is important too. I think that we are constantly changing our perceptions of not just people, everything, you know. And I think it's very isolating and suffocating for those who are not open-minded. And I feel like that is a fault in communication, to not be willing to constantly bring in information and process it in our intrapersonal dialogue, and think about it and formulate, well, what does this mean to us? How does that make me feel? How does that make someone else feel? Thinking about all angles of communication, which is why just saying that communication is such a vast category. Being able to communicate effectively with a person is constantly a new learning process with everybody. No matter how well you know the person, you're always learning. You can be talking with a significant other that you've known for years and still learn something new about how to communicate with them or how to communicate as a whole. And I think that's something about communication that's really important. I just think the whole idea is important to have full knowledge of, and falling back on perception, perception checking. So important to, again, take in that information, constantly be willing to mold it and form it into something new, because just as the world is changing around you, just as people you meet every day or know constantly when you're socializing with them, just as all of that is changing, you're changing. So being able to check your perception constantly is important and exhausting, which is why it's good to have that dialogue in your own head to sort of drain your mind.